Welcome to this week's Halloween edition of the Butler Beat. I'm your host, Bree Seaver. Halloween weekend is quickly approaching, and Butler students are gearing up for the fun-filled weekend. From a young age, kids have become accustomed to getting dressed up in costumes and trick-or-treating from house to house on Halloween night. Many of these things are second nature to us, but have you ever actually stopped to think about where these traditions come from? Where did the influences for Halloween originate, and how do we even perceive them today? I'm joined today by Butler University's Director for Citizenship and Community, Donald Braid, who may be able to help us answer these intriguing questions. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Oh, my pleasure.
So can you, if you look back at world history, there's certainly a lot of cultures that influenced the creation of the Halloween holiday. Can you describe some of the most influential?
Well, I can do some of that, and I have to be careful and say that nobody really knows the ultimate origin of Halloween. But scholars often trace it back to Celtic culture and the celebration, one of the seasonal changes at the beginning of winter called Samhain, which was a festival that marked the end of summer, the beginning of winter, the changing of the seasons. But it also marked a day when it was believed that many of the dead were moving from this world to the other world. And so it's one of the days when there was more of a permeability between our world and the world of the spirits.
Now, trick-or-treating has also become like a really customary part of this whole Halloween celebration. Can you describe a little bit about some of the cultural impacts on that, like the concept of going from house to house, asking for candy or food?
Yeah, that's another piece of the Halloween traditions, and the Halloween comes out, and it's connected with Catholic traditions of All Saints' Day and All Souls' Day, or All Hallows' Day on November 1st, so the evening before is Halloween, which is part of that origin. There are also in Great Britain and in Ireland and Scotland and in England traditions of guising, where students would disguise themselves, or children would disguise themselves, or teenagers would, and they would travel from house to house playing tricks on people, getting some coins, maybe some fruit, some food of some sort. There are also traditions of mumming, where, and in Ireland in particular, young men would go from house to house and perform small plays and ask for donations from people in those houses. And those donations would be used to then create some kind of a celebratory community event later on in the season. And in these cultures, some of these winters are very dark and bleak, and to bring people together is a very useful thing to do. Some of those traditions, when the Scots-Irish came to the U.S., have turned into the trick-or-treating traditions we have now. Right. And the children going door to door in disguises is really more from the middle of the 1950s on to the present period, which is it became more of a commercialized children's holiday.
Well, also costumes have become, a vital part of the whole Halloween holiday as well. Can you describe a little bit about the importance of the costumes and why people are so into dressing up as the dead, and they're just wrapped up in this concept of the dead?
Some of this comes, if you go all the way back to, if indeed Samhain is one of the origins of Halloween, there are a lot of associations with the spirit world, the dead, people who've passed on to that point in time. When the Catholic Church co-opted the holiday and tried to replace it with more Christian traditions, there was still all this sense of the dead, the skeletons, and so forth, which became more evil from the perspective of the church. And so that some of those costuming traditions where people may have dressed up to imitate the dead, those practices continued on. And people have taken that. Halloween is a festival, which is a time of license, a time of people, of license, of liminality, so people doing things out of the norm. And I think that all of those complex ideas of Harvest Festival, of Day of the Dead, the images of that, have mixed together in terms of the current traditions that people practice on Halloween. And clearly the images of the dead, the images of witches, the images of ghouls and zombies and so on, all of those different traditions have mixed together into what we see today.
It's really caught on in the U.S. for sure.
It really has, and it's part of, again, that much more recent change in the traditions the practice, the commercialization of that has something to do with that. But it still carries some of those same ideas that here you have communities, children who may not visit people in the neighboring houses so much, going to different houses, being given candy, people guessing who those children are, especially where there's more community in those areas than there might otherwise be in a city.
All right, well, thank you so much for being here today and for offering us a little bit more background into Halloween. So thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Welcome back to the Butler Beat. If you're looking to get spooked in honor of the Halloween holiday, look no further than Lambda Chi Alpha and Alpha Phi's annual haunted house this weekend. Joining me today are Josh Phelps and Jen Schaefer of Lambda Chi and Alpha Phi to share with us what kind of tricks and treats they have in store for us at the haunted house. Thanks for being here today, guys. And looking very festive, too.
Thank you.
So can you guys tell me, how fun is this to put on?
It's a lot of fun, but there's been a lot of work behind it, but we work together to make it fun every time we're together. It's us hanging out, putting stuff up, and celebrating Halloween.
Decorating all the rooms is a really good time. Just hanging up all the walls and getting to see the blood get splattered everywhere and starting to see my house that I normally just live in turn into a haunted house for 3 days.
So like what kind of planning goes into this? Is it like several weeks worth, or how extensive is this planning to put this on?
Well, we started planning probably over the summer, big time getting sponsors and stuff, so we can raise a lot of money for the philanthropy event. And on top of that, you got to buy all the supplies, decorate the front yard, and decorations get a little bit more pricey than you think. So.
And now, what is the funniest reaction that you've gotten working in this haunted house? Because I'm sure you've seen a lot of people go through.
I think one of the best was last year. I worked towards the end of the haunted house, and there was a little kid having to pull his dad along because his dad was more scared than him. And as he was walking out, he just said, "Dad, you're so embarrassing." And so that was one of the best ones.
Oh my gosh. Now, I understand you guys are charging to get into this event, so where are the proceeds going?
The proceeds are going to Gleaner's Food Bank, so everything we make from admissions go right to there to help people.
Yeah, Gleaner's Food Bank of Indiana, and they help the local community surrounding Indianapolis areas provide food for homeless or for senior citizens, and just make sure everybody doesn't go hungry.
Is everyone in your house expected to be involved in this? Like, do you guys take shifts going in and being in the haunted house?
Somehow everyone is a part of it, whether it's setting up, taking down, being in it, going out and spreading word around campus, putting up posters, painting the banner. Everybody just loves to get involved and be a part of it.
And when is this event taking place?
Thursday from 7 to 9 and Friday and Saturday from 7 to 10 at Lambda Chi Alpha.
So can we expect to see you guys in the haunted house or no?
I'll be bouncing around in there somewhere of one of the rooms.
I'll be outside taking tickets and watching people's reaction come out. That's as thrilling as I want it to be for me.
Well, thanks, guys. Have fun scaring people this weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's not all that's happening around the Butler campus this weekend. Grab your calendars because Krista Miller is here to give you the details on what's happening around the Butler campus this weekend.
Thanks, Bree. Don't forget to make your bed because this weekend is Family Weekend at Butler. There are several things going on, including an opportunity to use the High Ropes course on Friday, tailgating for the football game on Saturday, and a planetarium show on Saturday night at Holcomb Observatory. For a full list of activities and information about parking, you can visit Butler's website at butler.edu. The Pan-Hellenic Association will be hosting open houses for freshmen and sophomore women wishing to tour the sororities. This is a great opportunity for you and your parents to get a better look at Greek life. This week is a big week for Butler sports. Men's basketball kicks off its season on Wednesday, November 2nd in a game against Northern State at home in Hinkle Fieldhouse. Men's soccer plays at Valparaiso Wednesday night, and women's volleyball heads to Green Bay on Thursday. Next Saturday, the 5th of November, is also a huge day for Butler sports. Beginning at noon, Butler men's football will take on Davidson here at the Bowl. Then, women's volleyball heads to Loyola for a match starting at 2 p.m. Men's soccer faces Wright State at home at 5 p.m. And finally, men's basketball faces Franklin at 7 p.m. in Hinkle.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's Halloween edition of the Butler Beat. I'm Bree Seaver.
And I'm Krista Miller.
Stay spooky, Butler.